Danny and I were chatting. We'll definitely make it interactive for you and show you how this can benefit you and benefit your clients. So based on how you log in and what role you're assigned, you will start off with a landing page. Now this is very configurable, so depending on what you activate in the system and what you use it for, will determine what you see and what you can do. From a client perspective, they will have different companies here, and it can change the landing page based on their different companies and EINs. There also is pay groups. So pay groups can be named anything you want. You can cover union, non-union, weekly, biweekly, whatever you want to call these. This is good for sorting and also for reporting on benefits and also eligibility for your benefits as well. On the right, there can be links to any types of sites. We typically will activate things like the IRS, guidelines for year-end, and even guidelines for the ACA reporting that's coming up. Now, as Danny mentioned, we're not going to touch upon it too much, but I just want to let you know this system, depending on what you activate, is one login, and it's in the cloud. So it will encompass HR, payroll, benefits and benefits enrollment, onboarding, and time and attendance all in one system. So you don't have to have multiple logins. And we even have a built-in reporting tool as well that's in the system. As far as announcements, there's always announcements being pushed out that are critical as far as things like ACA that's going to need to be filed and reported on. And also any type of service contacts can be here as well. So yourself, your clients, they can all find out who to call. And as you know, service is critical. People want to know if they have an issue or a question, who do I call, who do I email? They'll be right at your fingertips here. Now to open up the system, I'm going to go into the upper left, and I'm going to just walk you through how it's set up. And then based on what the usage is of different components of the tool, we'll activate things, line items here in different folders. So it's really broken out into managing employees, so getting employees into the system and hiring them, terminating them, enrolling them, and changing benefits, things like that. From an employee self-service, every employee with a company would get their own employee self-service. That's completely configurable. And there also is manager self-service as well. Client management, and I'll open that up real quick. That's where all the benefits are set up, the eligibility, the tables, the coverage codes, the life event workflow, things like that. So that's all set up here. And then we're not going to touch upon it too much, but this is where somebody would process their payroll. They would be able to bring in their hours from either our time and attendance system, which is configurable, or another time and attendance system as well, can be imported, and then they run the payroll here. So we're monitoring the hours in the system as well for ACA and the measurement period. So because everything's in one spot, you can probably see we can do the ACA reporting very effectively. The next thing would be the person can get into the system through very, very easy methods. So somebody can quickly hire them into the system, which is why we have a quick hire screen. And then for payroll purposes and benefits purposes, there are things that are having an asterisk, and those are required fields for either ACA reporting or for payroll purposes or even for tax filing, because the tax filing is completely done as well in the system. Behind the scenes also, there is an onboarding tool. So there is the ability to go in and a client can initiate somebody to be electronically onboarded. So my last name's Foster. I set up 2 companies. So I'm just going to pick my company. I'll pick my work location. I'll just pick one. And then there would be an onboarding template. Now this could encompass benefits enrollment as well. So they can have different onboarding templates set up. Their hourly can look different than their salary. Union can be different than non-union. Everybody has different onboarding, so you can have unlimited. Then you're simply just putting in someone's name and their email address. It could be their company email assigned or their personal. They hit save, and there'll be an onboarding email sent to the person. Now that can encompass, as I mentioned, and I'll show you what this would look like, but that can encompass benefits enrollment as well. And they would simply click on a smartphone, iPad, laptop, anything like that, and they'll just get a quick link and they'll log in, and this is all configurable. So this person is a new employee. If they get benefits right away, maybe they get life insurance or they get medical right away, they'll also have a line item here for benefits as well. They can also see their handbook, a benefits summary, a comparison tool, a link to your site, whatever you want. It's completely configurable. So what your role is with a client, you can certainly beef this up so that it promotes all the documents that you might create for them, summary plan descriptions, or even links to your site or anything like that that might be helpful to the employee. I'm not going to go through everything, but it'll give you an idea of how it would work. They would then hit next, and they would just go through a series of screens that the client decided they wanted to collect on the employee. And if some of them have requirements such as collecting EEO and veterans information, it does generate all those government reports. We also have electronic I-9s and electronic W-4s as well. And then for those states that have those complex requirements like Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, all of those that have those locals and school districts, the nice thing is all of that's done as well behind the scenes. So payroll loves it because they don't have to worry about taking out the wrong taxes. It's all done for the employee based on where they work and where they live. Segue. Susan. And it does encompass all of the benefit data, including adding dependents. So the new employee would be able to add all their dependents, put their social, their birth date, mark them as a dependent or beneficiary, and all that information has to go on the 1095 as well. So all of that is in there. And then I won't go through everything, but there will be capability to collect certifications, banking information, direct deposit, and then they literally hit submit, and somebody will get a notification back in the workflow. It's whoever they deem to be the right person. And then they simply log in, and you'll see they'll get a dashboard. They'll just hit submit, and everything will pretty much be keyed in for them. So a lot of this was already done by the employee. So I have somebody that actually has submitted their paperwork as a new employee, and literally the payroll or HR person, whoever enters the first record, has everything entered in for them. They love it. So they can go in and they can pick what kind of employee they are, and this would be coded for ACA. It'll do new hire reporting. It can send a file wherever it needs to go. And all they would have to do is just put in what kind of employee they are, what their rate is, and then they would simply just add in, if they hadn't added in direct deposit, they could add that in, they hit save, and they are done. They're in for HR, payroll, benefits, ACA, time and attendance, everything in one system.
Can we bounce ahead to the ACA, Susan? Is it now a good time?
Yeah. So the next thing I'll show you real quick, the next thing I'm going to go hit 2 screens, and then I'll show you how this would work. So now the record is in the system, and you have an employee here. So you do have the ability to go in and terminate the employee, and this would actually generate notification for COBRA. It would also stop when the deduction was supposed to stop. So if this is supposed to stop on the day of term, it'll stop then. You notice this vision stops at the end of the month. All the eligibility rules are built in here. On the employment side, it's also tracking what kind of employee that they're coded as. Are they full-time? Are they part-time? A lot of clients have to exclude certain hours. Depending on how they are, that will actually generate some different forms here for ACA. So one of the forms that it'll generate here will be the large employer test. So a lot of clients think for ACA that unless I have just full-time employees and it's over 50, I don't have to file. But if they do have employees, in this case, here's a good example, they have 100 employees, but they have 5 that met the ACA requirement of averaging over 30 hours in the measurement period, those have to be reported as well. And these are not reported under just groups of people, it's the whole company that has to be reported as an aggregate. So we have a report that actually tests that, and it gets run every payroll, so people are always aware that the ACA is being monitored. The next report that we generate in the payroll side is this. And this report is actually looking at their current wages and their projected W-2. It is yellowing, or instead of red flag, it's yellowing people, and it's saying Caprice has the lowest cost option that you offered her. Here's her annual premium, and here's her projected wage. Guess what? You're out of compliance. It exceeds the federal poverty line. Now, last year, it was 9.5. It just moved to 9.66, so we adjusted that. But here's 3 ways and the right to remedy that. You would have to either reduce her hours, increase her wage, or reduce the premium annually or monthly. If you don't comply, just this small handful of people would probably generate a maximum penalty of $21,000. So it is pretty costly not to report accurately and not to actually be in compliance. Now, we just filed a lot of the ACA forms for our clients, the 1094 and the 1095Cs as well. It will actually create one for every employee. So here I have an employee, Mark Abernathy, who lives in Ohio. It will determine what the offer of coverage, that 14 code, needs to be. It will determine what the employee share of the lowest cost premium is. It even handles self-funded plans. And it will determine line 16, which is the safe harbor code, based on all the information on the system. And then it will also track all of those dependents in the system, and it'll send either their date of birth or so if the social isn't available, and what months that were covered in the plan. So these are all the required forms that have to go to the IRS, which takes off a huge burden from the employers, from what we're hearing. A lot of them said, we're just so relieved we don't have to do it. So does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the next piece would be, we're always monitoring the pay here. So I'm just going to pick some components related to it. We have full HR in here, full HR, full payroll, full deductions, garnishments, everything. So it's always monitoring the salary and the pay, as well as monitoring all the benefit plans. So there are eligibility records and plans that are set up behind the scenes to determine whether Tatiana should even have received a 401k or a 403b or any of the different types of plans. It'll also know when she enrolled, and we can send this information off to the carrier as well. So we'll say, for example, they use T. Rowe Price or Fidelity, I'll just pick 2. We send files off to those carriers as well that says, here's all the people that enrolled, here's the people that terminated, here's the people that changed their percent, pre and post, raw, after tax, everything. We can do this also for the different carriers as well, for medical, dental, if you would like. This system also handles life event changes. So if I were to add a spouse, or if my dependent age to 26 is dependent age out plan, it has full workflow. You just say what the date of the event was. My child was born on this date. And I also can upload a document, and it'll walk you through the wizard what should happen next. Based on that event, there's going to be different pages that will say this might be a tax change. Do you need to send them COBRA? all different things related to that specific life event. There is imputed income as well, so there is a full calculation that's done per pay period. A lot of clients struggle with that. It's the taxable amount over the $50,000. So we have this all in an automated way. I was talking with a client yesterday. They said this alone would save us a week every month of work to calculate the imputed income that has to be done. So this is done every payroll. And then there's the age table as well. Now on the HR side, I'll just go through a few items just so that you know. I'm not going to go through all of them, but this is where the employee contacts are stored. So that's where we get the information to put on the ACA forms that are required. Their social, their date of birth, their name, etc. We also can track things such as education, skills, certification. All those great things can all be tracked in the system, as well as any documents. So not only a secure I-9 document, which we secure down to just certain people can see it in the company, but people sometimes will attach their 401k, a birth certificate of their child, or anything like that that employers find is something that they need to attach to the employee's record. It is unlimited. I'm going to go into the point of view from an employee. What would an employee get to see when they log in? I'm going to log in as a different employee, and you're going to see that the security is different and what they can see and do is different. And when we set the employee up, we determine whether they're just an employee or are they also a manager. So when the employee logs in, the employee will have a configurable landing page here. They can see their information here. Could be something a document that you pushed out to them, because you can send out notices about open enrollment or a new plan or anything you want related to benefits or anything else. All of their contacts, their manager, maybe a benefits administrator, can be here. They'll see their pay date. They'll also see their benefits information here, what they're enrolled in. And then they can open up more information here. So we do have time and attendance, where they can actually clock in, or they can look at accruals, or they can request time off. You can send them messages, no cost for anything like this. This can go to their personal email or work, and it could be linked to benefits enrollment. This is all configurable here, what you want it to say. Or perhaps it's a new hire doing enrollment, or maybe they're happening in conjunction with each other. There's two events happening. That can all happen here. And then all your handbooks or benefits, anything like that, can be at the bottom. They can also do benefits enrollment here. So they'll just get a link. It's the same place, the same system. That's why they like the system. It's one login. They can do everything here. So this is all configurable. And then they simply just go next, next, next. These are the dependents I show for Mary right now. She wants to update or add or change. She can do that. And then she will get a cost analysis here. These are all able to be changed as far as the order of display. And then there's different columns that can display. You can have waiver of coverage here. We recommend that if they're an ACA client, because they may have to track why they waived it and the waive reason. Do we want to see what their cost is? Do we want to see what the employer pays as well? So they can see all this. If they're not ready to work on it right now, they can print it out here at the bottom. And they can simply just go next, 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 and go through it. If they're not done, it actually saves their progress. At the end, they'll get a benefits summary, which they can print. And they'll also get a nice confirmation email after they hit acknowledge, and that will actually change the incomplete on the upper right to the word complete. And then a benefits administrator might be able to see that as well. So if they want to know about every employee that enrolled, they can, or they can see it on a report. Now we also have the ability to do a benefit statement. This is all resident in the system and it can be modified. So these can be benefit statements. A lot of clients say, well, can I print this out? The answer is yes. Can they print it out themselves if you want them to? Yes. Their logo can be here. And then you can have a comprehensive benefit statement as well. And all these can be changed and designed.
Susan, on the back when they were going through the different screens to enroll in the coverages, can you attach things like maybe the SBC or a benefit summary or
like one of our comparisons?
Right, a comparison spreadsheet or something in there so that people can look at that, or is that something that actually the system does? How does that work?
Definitely, the system doesn't do that. We're actually designing something for future releases, but right now a lot of clients do attach a benefit comparison. So here you see a link, but I can put that link on different areas so they can actually click on a link here. It might say benefits comparison, and they can see that benefits comparison document. We're designing things in the future where there might be additional views that we're considering designing. But yes, you can do that, absolutely.
And does it show like the pre-tax, which items are pre-tax versus tax?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct. Yep, the Section 125, yes, it will. So then the next thing would be, so this is the employee view. You see that the employee only has access to that one gray folder, employee self-service. So they also can see things like their benefit summary, their benefit plan details, documents that you want to attach, a comparison, a summary plan description, links to their provider to find a doctor, anything like that. They can also see their pay stub, and that's how we're monitoring everything in ACA where they fall. And they can see their W-2 and their 1095. So that required filing for the 1095 that you have to give to the employee. Not only do people now have to do the W-2 for them, they have to do the 1095. That's available for the employee as well. So again, one place for everything. That's why the employees love the system. Now, if they want to, if you decide, the client decides to have them update their address, that's not a problem. We can do that. As soon as they update it, it could be a pop-up that says this could be a tax change, and it'll actually walk them through that. If they hit save, this can go through an electronic workflow, and somebody that should be getting address changes, like a payroll or HR person, it will actually let them know that that address change happened, and then they can just acknowledge it. And that address change can also go on a carrier feed as well, just to let people know they have a different address. And they can activate things also for direct deposit or anything like that. There's a lot of things activated here. We usually only see maybe 5 to 10 things active here. So I just activate everything just to let you know all the things you can do. Now I'm going to switch employees real quick, and this is actually an employee who is a manager as well. So when a manager logs in, we do have the capability to have the employee see just their information, just like Mary. But Tatiana is also a manager. So how does she look at her employees? All she has to do is go to the right. She clicks on either manager view or supervisor view, and she will just see her employees. So these are people that report to Tatiana. We just saw Mary Adams. So she can go into anyone's record here, and she can see information about that employee. Now, we secure what information that you want the employee to be able to see about their employee. So Tatiana is the manager. She is looking at Nanette's record. But you see, she can't see her hourly rate here. Maybe she can't see her benefits. Maybe she can't see her paycheck. Some clients want that, other clients don't. She can't see her Social Security number. But maybe she can do her performance review, or maybe she needs to do a disciplinary action, or maybe she needs to do an address change on behalf of her employee. We can pick and choose what we want the manager to be able to do on their employees. Make sense so far?
Yeah, one question, it goes back a little ways to where you had the screen up that showed the different benefit selections that people were making and what the
Yes.
cost was. So that actually gives the employee an overview of, say they've chosen these, they've chosen voluntary life insurance at this level, and they've chosen dental and
Sure.
vision, and it gives them a print, or it gives them a picture view there of what that cost is going to be. And does it figure the amount that would be coming out of their paycheck on a whatever?
Exactly. That's just exactly what happened. So I'm going to get back to that screen. So it does figure that out. If I look at the benefit summary, it will tell you, is it pre or post, like you requested? What's the deduction? This here is set up for every pay, and what's their deduction amount? What it'll also do, and I'm going to get it, this is really the administrative side, I call it the back end of the system. What it'll also do is we have benefits here. So this is where we set up behind the scenes how this is all going to work. So we have different benefit types, and then we have different eligibility rules. Who gets this benefit? Is it only part-time? Is it full-time? Do they have to have 1,000 hours? Is it age-related? Do we want to track whether they waived it? Do we want to track whether we want to know the reason why? Do we need to auto-enroll their dependents? That type of thing. So we'll set up all the plans, all the rules, and then all of the rates. And then we decide whether this is going to be an employee-employer cost share. Is it per paycheck? Is it every other paycheck? All of that is handled in the system.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. The next step would be, and I'm not going to talk about this too long, but this is where somebody would go in and they would see their time and attendance. So if they're using a system right now and they want to look at ours, we have two different options. They can use clocks, they can use fingerprint, they can use a web clock, they can use a mobile device, they can use anything like that. Once that information's in the system, it's just an import from another system, or it's just a matter of clicking two buttons. All the information's in here. The next step would be you can update third-party sick pay. So if somebody's getting disability or anything like that, we can do any kind of additional checks. Anything that we have to do to update the 1099 or W-2. The last step would be for the employer to preview their payroll. So let's take a look at that payroll, make sure it looks right. They can do this as many times as they want. And depending on their size, this could be a matter of seconds to just a few short minutes. And they will actually get all of their payroll reports. They also will get exception reports, deduction reports. We can have reports for 401k, reports to the Iowa state plans, anything you want in this list, retirement reports, whatever you need. So that's all done. Then the last piece is the reports. So we do have the ability to give you over 300 reports. They're all set up for you. Anything from measurement periods, safe harbor affordability, compliance tests that I showed you, W-2 safe harbor wages, everything is all set up here. All you have to do is pick who you want to run it for and run it. It'll come out in PDF, CSV, or Excel.